Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing a highly requested video and it is my brow routine. I don't know why I did that, but yes, I'm showing you everything that I use when I fill in my brows, the techniques that I use, if I can even really call it a technique. Yeah, I guess that's it for the introduction. Let's move on to the nitty-gritty of the video. So actually, before I show you my bare brows, I want to talk about some tools that I think might be helpful to some of you, especially if you're new to the brow game, or even if you're not. It really doesn't matter. The first set of products I have to recommend are actually from Benefit. They have a really great brow line that makes brow makeup really easy and approachable. The first one is this ruler right here. It's really cool that they made a ruler like this, but honestly, you can use anything you want. So back then, when I first started filling in my brows and playing with them, I was told and I learned that you should measure the end of your nostril to the corner of your eye, and that is where your brow should start. So my brow used to start way back here. There would be nothing in this area. And when I look back at pictures, it actually looks a bit weird and strange because it gave me a really wide set face because there was so much space in this area. Now what I do is I actually measure from the nose bridge, and I see a lot of people do that now too. I find that this looks the most natural. So you can use this ruler or any long, straight, flat tool and measure out where your brow should end and start, and also where it should arch. So you would measure first here to see where it would start, and then move it back to see where the arch should be, and then to the end of your brow. I'm actually pretty loose with this when I draw the arch and the ends. It's really hard for me to advise on what kind of shape you should do because it really varies from person to person. It depends on what you prefer. If you prefer a straighter brow, one that's more arched, it just really depends on what you like and what looks good on your face and really frames your face the best. So what I really recommend is doing some research, like go on Pinterest and Instagram and just look at photos and see what kind of brow shape you want. The next product I want to recommend is the Benefit High Brow. This is actually a pinky highlighter. So you can use this to highlight and define the shape of your brows. You can also use this to help figure out the brow shape that you want. So you could use it to cover some brow hairs, fill in your brows and see if you like that. If you have a darker skin tone, this probably would not work well for you. You should use your concealer and cover your brows that way. The next products I want to recommend, obviously from Benefit, because I don't think I have any other ones laying around. This one is their Bravo Conditioning Primer. It's a clear brow gel that you can put on your brow strands before you fill in your brows. I actually don't like using this product because it feels heavy. My brow hairs are actually pretty coarse and thick. They're already very strand-like, if that makes sense. But if you have thinner brow hairs, I think this would work really well for you. And this one is a fiber gel. It's tinted and it's supposed to add fibers to your brow hairs to elongate them. Now to move on to some tools that I actually do use and love. The first one is this tweezer from Red. It is amazing. I've had this for years and it is the flathead tweezer. You'll see later I don't have many brow hairs from over plucking, but sometimes I'll get little strands up here or down in this area, and that's when I'll use the tweezers to kind of clean it up a little bit. I also use these little scissors. These are from Daiso. They were like $1 or something. I will use these to trim the front part of my brows when the hairs grow a little bit too long and get unruly, and I will also use it like back here if the brow hairs grow past the shape that I draw. Now that that's out of the way, let's move on to how I actually fill in my brows. I am an avid user and lover of Anastasia's Dip Brow Pomade. I've used a lot of other things in the past, from powders to pencils to gels, but this is what has really stuck with me. This pomade is just so long lasting. It lasts throughout the day, and I am a fuss-free girl. Like, I hate touching up my makeup throughout the day because I just want to enjoy myself without thinking about what my makeup looks like. And this is probably the thing that's lasted the longest. There are days where I'm just moving a lot and I will need to touch up, like the ends of my eyebrows will start to fade. And for those moments, I actually do carry around an eyebrow pencil. This is the Anastasia Brow Wiz. It's the very thin version of their pencils. I'll just carry this around to touch up when I need to, but I've rarely ever had to use this. Okay, so let's finally fill in my brows. I know you guys have been kind of waiting for this. I am in the shade Ebony, which is a warm toned dark brown, almost black color. And I use their number 12 brush to fill in my brows. This is the brush that you see when you go to the Sephora store. They're like right next to each other. They also have a brush, I think it's number 14, that's a little bit thinner. And that one will give you a lot of precision if you really want to draw those brow hairs. But for me, this has been enough to just shape my brows and fill them in. So with this pomade and the Benefit version of this, they both dry out really quickly. So I actually use the Inglot Duraline fluid to bring some of the creamy texture back into the product. If I don't use this, the pomade actually comes out really dry and it just doesn't move well across the brows, it doesn't blend well, and it's just really hard to use. So I highly recommend you also get this. I've had this for years, it lasts a really long time, and the only reason it's like down here is because I spilled like this much of it. Okay, so I will just take a drop of this, a really tiny drop, and put it right into the pot. That's it. You really just need a little drop. Then I will take my brush and carefully swipe some product from the tub. Now I'm not grabbing too much, I'm just grabbing a little bit, like doing little dabs into where I dropped the fluid. I don't want to pick up too much. I want the option to build it up. So after I pick up some of the product, I just swipe off any excess into the lid, and then I will work from the lid. I'll have the lid in one hand and the brush in the other. First, I just like to brush out the brow hairs to make sure they're sitting right. There aren't any strands that are acting weird or that look weird. It just helps fill in the brows a little bit easier. Then I'll start by drawing a line of what I want the bottom of the brow to look like. And I usually start right about here, like right there. I want the front of the brow to be soft and natural looking, and because there's so much product on the brush when you first draw it, if I started here, it wouldn't look as natural. So I'll start somewhere around here and do light strokes to get the shape that I want. And I'm missing some hairs down here, so I actually draw the outline a little bit lower, like right about there. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect right now. Like I can see here, it's not a straight line, it's a little messy, but I'll show you how I go in and clean it up. So after I've drawn in the bottom part of the brow, I'll go back to the top, and I actually start about here, towards the center of the brow. For the bottom, I started closer to the center of my face, but for the top, I actually start more towards the center of the brow. And I'll just kind of follow where the brow hairs are growing. Because I've already plucked out the shape that I want my brows to be, I can follow the brow hairs and where they're growing. But before, when I wasn't sure what shape I wanted, I used to have more hairs up here. And I didn't pluck them because I wasn't sure that I really wanted this shape. So I just drew my own shape and ignored the hairs up here. And once I realized like, okay, this is the shape that I actually do like, that's when I plucked and trimmed off a bit of the hairs over here. So now I have a general guideline of the shape that I want for my brows. Now I can just quickly fill them in, and I'll just do some light quick strokes like this, being a little bit more careful towards the end of the brow. And then I'll slowly work my way towards the front. And then when you get to the front, you want to be a little bit softer so you can keep more of the natural look of the brow and your brow hairs. And every time I feel like I'm running out of product or it's getting faint or not dark enough, that's when I'll dip back into the lid and grab more product. So I'll just swipe it flat like this. Now for the front of the brows, I don't really want to grab more product at all. I'm just going to go here and do really light, tiny strokes like this, really softly, a lot softer than what you're doing towards the end of the brow. I actually do need more product to fill in this back part. So back to the front of the brow, I actually hold the brush like this and brush it upwards. So before I would brush it backwards, where the strands are growing. Now I want to brush upwards. When I want to get a little bit more precise or fill in more of the sparse areas, I will flip the brush so that instead of this horizontal direction, it's now vertical. And then I will just do up and down motions like this. Okay, so let's do that again with this brow. Sometimes if I feel like the front of the brows are too dark or too harsh or too blocky, I will take the spoolie and brush it out a little bit to try to soften it and lighten it up. It also helps to kind of blend the product a little bit better together. I don't know if you guys can see, but I actually smudged it a little bit here with the brush. I take a concealer. This one is from Apu. This is their Moist Creamy Concealer. Then I will take a flat brush. This is actually a concealer brush. I thought it was for eyes or something. I never actually looked at it. But it's just a flat brush like this with a rounded top. As you can see, it's pretty flat. So I will take the concealer applicator and the brush, and I will actually take a bit off of the tube because I don't want to get too much. And if you do get too much, you can actually just wipe it off a bit on the back of your hand. So I have a little bit of concealer there now, and I will just slightly draw. I will just go over this spot that I messed up on and fix it. And I also blend it downward so it's not so obvious. I actually don't use concealer or highlight my brows very often, only when I need to fix something I've messed up on. And that's it. That was my entire brow routine, all the products and the tools I use to fill in my brows. I hope you guys liked this tutorial and found it to be helpful. If I missed anything or if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below and I will do my best to answer them. If you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Like, really. And don't forget to subscribe if you're not a subscriber already and you want to see more makeup videos from me or fashion or vlogs, all that. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!